Hi, welcome. Welcome to a thing that I'm doing. Oh, fuck, that's good. You know, when you have a really decent cup of coffee. You know when you just have like, and I'm not talking about going out to like a Starbucks or a Costa Coffee or a Pret or a other place that I'm probably forgetting. I'm not talking about somebody else making you a thing and then you get it, and you give them the money and all that, and then they're like, "Hey man, enjoy the thing," and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, man, I will," and then you drink it, you're like, "Oh yeah, fuck, I am enjoying it, I guess." I'm not on about that. That's a different thing. That's still good. What I'm talking about is when the money's low, you can't be affording to go out and live your white girl dreams and go to Starbucks every week, and you got your own coffee at home, and you make it in the exact way you know how you like it because you've been making it for years, and like there's still a bit of doubt every time, isn't there? There's still a bit of doubt that you're like, I know I've made myself coffees for God knows how many years, but still there's a chance that I may make this coffee and it won't be what I like, and I'm like, it's too, either it's too milky if you like it stronger, or it's too strong if you like it milky, and it's still that doubt, and it's like a microcosm of like all these things that you're overthinking, and you're like, it's just coffee, and you always, there's always that little bit, but then you make it, and then you have a good old sip, ah, and it's perfect. It's exactly how you want it. It's exactly how you like it. It's just like the start of a day. You've tried your best to have some good sleep, but let's be honest, nowadays, who's having good sleep? So you just need that bit of a pickup, and it just does it, and it just, we don't deserve coffee, is what I'm saying. We don't deserve it, but we have it. So let's keep using it. Um, so what was that? Okay, so maybe I should have opened this actually explaining what the hell I'm doing as opposed to talking about coffee for ages. But if anything, that is what I'm doing. Really, that's the best way that I could explain it to you, is what this podcast is. So, yeah, if you found it, well, you must have found it if you're listening to it. I mean, that makes sense. Essentially, what this is that I had a kind of interesting experience over the last few months. A lot of stuff happened all at once that I won't get into because, I mean, if you listen to this, you probably know me, but maybe you don't know me. So I won't burden you with my personal details that you don't care about, because I wouldn't want to hear any of yours. I mean, it's not disrespectful. It's just I don't understand why people do that all of the time. When you'll be, maybe you'll understand this more if you have like a job where you've had to work like with like customer service or something. But like, I work in a job with customer service, and it's always like, 9 times out of 10, like 9.9 times out of 10, most interactions are completely fine. It's either very simple, just, oh, you're right, yeah, buy the thing, yeah, see you later, cool. Or maybe some people are a bit more polite and you have a bit more of a conversation, and like they ask how your day's going, you ask how theirs going, little things. It's all innocent, basic, blah blah blah. But then there's some people that come in and they just want to know, like, what your educational status and your marriage status. No, but like, they want to know these like details that you don't really want to tell them. And these are the same kinds of people. These are the same kinds of people where if you're in any kind of a job where you have to wear a name badge or like a name tag, they're the exact same kind of people that will use your name, like read it and then look you in the eyes all weird and that's that creepy smile, and they'll be like, oh, thank you, insert name here, and you're just like, ah. and it just feels weird. I know that's why the name badges are there technically, but no one. It's kind of like a thing of, the company sets up that, hey, we give you name tags so people know your name and blah blah blah, so they can use like the company. That's the precedent of why they're there. But there's like an unspoken agreement between everybody involved in coming into a place where you're buying things, or being served in any way, and there's customer service involved. There's an unspoken agreement between functional human beings, between well-thought and well-educated human beings, that you don't use the name because it's weird, right? You wouldn't, like using someone's name without asking for someone's name. I don't know why that seems so strange, but it does. There's something about it that seems really kind of, it feels like an invasion of privacy almost, even though it's not, but it feels like a mini, like, they shouldn't know this, but they do. Yeah, so moral of the story is, if you come across someone wearing a name badge, don't use their name, because they probably don't want you to. They probably want to live in their own little world, their little bubble. Like, the work part of your life is completely separate from the actual part of your life that you care about. The work part of your life is the thing you have to do. It's like you have to go into this kind of mindset, this state of like, here to work, and just kind of get through it, so that then you can fund the life that you actually care about. That's like the main bubble, if you will, if we're going off of bubbles as an analogy. And so imagine there's, when someone blows a bubble, and it's like a big bubble, but it's got little bubbles attached to it. I don't know how that happens. I also just don't understand bubbles altogether. I've never really taken the time to do some bubble research. Maybe I should. Yeah, that could be interesting, some bubble research, because someone's like, oh, what did you do at the weekend? I researched some bubbles at the weekend. And they're like, well, you didn't go out and drink it? No, I had offers to go out drinking, but instead I stayed home and researched bubbles. And then they stare at you with that awkward silence. And then they say, well, what did you learn about bubbles? And then you realize you've forgotten everything about bubbles, so you wasted your weekend. What am I talking about? Basically, when there's a big bubble and then there's little bubbles attached to it, that's like a little thing of the different mindsets and different aspects of your life. And the main bubble is the personal life, when you're at home or you're out with friends, and that's like the main kind of thing. Some people have little bubbles that sprout out with going with friends because you have to change yourself. I think a lot of people have to do that, but let's not get into that. That's a subject for another day. But anyway, there's that little branching bubble. And that's the part of your life that's like, that's the work life, you know what I mean? It's attached, but it's not the main thing, It's just a little bit attached. And what happens is, when you use someone's name from their name badge, and you invade that kind of privacy, you're almost, you're pushing that bubble into the main bit. You're basically trying to burst someone's bubble, man. And I don't think any decent human being would ever want to burst a bubble. If you, when you were a child, if you were ever that kind of person that, someone else would be blowing bubbles and you just just burst them out of the air while everyone else is just having a good time, like purposefully bursting bubbles, then I'm sorry, but there's something wrong, I mean, we have all these psychologists, and we have all these like school counselors and all these different people when you're growing up, who can, they try to study and analyze children and understand them. I think it's just as simple as, if you're the kind of kid that bursts someone else's bubbles, then you're a problem. And I'm not saying how you need to deal with that problem. That's for minds smarter than me, but I'm just saying, save a bit of money on school counselors, put it in a better place. Maybe towards the actual educational side. Yeah, could do some good. So what the hell is this? This is another... I guess now you understand why Manic is in the title. So essentially, thank you if you found this and are listening to this and taking the time. That's really cool of you. I don't know why you would, because I don't know if this is even anything someone would want to listen to, but hey, I don't get to determine what other people like, and maybe they like this, which... that's really cool if you do. Yeah, so what this is just a podcast about... I mean, saying it's about mindfulness is probably not accurate, really, because I'm not I'm not like some kind of Zen guru, like, monk who has spent the time with deep meditation sessions and, has kind of like taken a microscope to every little aspect of their life and how they navigate through life and blah, 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 blah. Like, this isn't a podcast of me giving you tips on how to approach mindfulness in any way, because I'm just starting out that approach. So, what this is that I had a lot of things happening. I've realized I said this God knows how long ago. I started this thought that I was going to do, and then there's no more tangents while I'm explaining this. I promise. Tangents will resume afterwards. So, basically, I had a lot of stuff going on, and it kind of forced me into this situation where, after all of this crazy stuff was happening, where I really just felt like on the brink of just absolute collapse of like, like I was drinking a lot to kind of deal with it, and then like that meant that I wasn't actually dealing with anything. I was just drinking, which makes you forget, and then the next day you're like, I've still got all that weight, but now I gotta carry on, and on top of that I'm hungover, and blah 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 blah. It's a horrible cycle. It's bad. It's a bad time. But what happened is that after all of this stuff, everything kind of cleared up through all of these horrible things happening, and then I ended up on holiday, and I ended up in Spain. And what happened was I needed a day where there was clouds in the sky to climb this mountain, because I didn't want to be under the sun the whole time, because I would just get burned to shizzle. There was no real cover on the mountain, like the sun was right overhead. So I was just waiting for a day, and the only day where there were clouds was where it was like 35 degrees. So I was like, well, there'll be clouds, but it's gonna be hot as shit. But I gotta climb this mountain. I don't know why. It just called me. I was like, there's a mountain right behind where I'm staying. I say right behind. It took me 2 hours to walk to it before I even had to start climbing it. But it was somewhat right behind me. And I was like, I just want to climb a mountain. Sometimes you don't have to find something deeper in a thing you want to do, right? Sometimes your brain just sees a thing and is like, that would be cool to go over there and do the thing. And for me, that was climbing this mountain. So, I'm climbing this mountain, I'm listening to podcasts, I'm doing whatever, I'm just having a good time. And then suddenly halfway up the mountain, I realized, I need enough phone battery on my phone to get back, because I'm in a place I don't know. I've just walked 2 hours with Google Maps to get here. Like, I don't fully remember the way back, which I ended up fully remembering the way back in the end, but I didn't think I was going to. So, I'm climbing this mountain, and I realized, shit, I'm going to have to stop listening to things on my phone and turn my phone off for a bit so that I have battery on the way back, because I had people that were waiting for me who were for some reason terrified that I was just going to die, like climbing this mountain or something, or get killed and kidnapped on the way back or something. I don't know why they were overthinking it like this, but they wanted like texts from me every hour and stuff like that, which I was like, fine, if that's going to mean that people aren't worrying, then fine, you don't want people worrying, of course not, but I still think it was a little overboard. But hey, everything was fine. But anyway, so what this means is that for the majority of my time climbing this mountain in ridiculous heat, it was steep inclines, it was just, it was a lot of effort. It was great, the views were amazing, and it was great to be outside, but, it was difficult. And I was in complete silence, there was no one around. I ran into maybe 2-3 people the whole time I was up there. There's basically no one around, because I guess nobody really wanted to climb it that day because of the heat. But I was not one of those people. So anyway, so what this kind of force was, and I've been listening to a lot of stuff about meditation and mindfulness, and I'm just breaking out into that way of looking at your own life and analyzing your thoughts, and not even just again, I'm no one who's qualified to say anything about the technical kind of inner workings of mindfulness or anything like that. Again, I'm starting out, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So I was in complete silence, and I was kind of almost forced into this meditative state against my will, where all I could do, because of the silence and how long it was going to take me to climb this mountain, all I could do was do what you do in meditation, was listen to my thoughts. And it was really the first time after all of this tragedy and difficult things that were happening in my life, it was really the first time that I'd done that. And it was, honestly, it was like I don't want to say a transformative experience, but it was certainly something that really gave me a lot of perspective on like just how powerful your own mind can be, and how like listening to it, oh my god, there's a lot going on up there, and then going forwards, trying to figure that out and find a way to, aid your mind, and like through active meditation to, kind of quieten the deeper and darker thoughts, to let go of things you're holding on to focus more on the good, which is something that, I mean, I'll talk about this a lot throughout this podcast. Not this one specifically, maybe, but God, that's one of the things I'm obsessed with, is how little importance that our brains naturally place on good things that happen to us. Yeah, I'll get into that later. So basically what happened was, while I was up there, I kind of realized that I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. I had another podcast that I did a while back, and it was a lot of fun, but it was with other people, which, when life starts to get more complicated and everyone's schedules are moving and different things, it's so hard to get people in the same place for an hour to talk about a thing. So even though it was a lot of fun, we had to stop. And I've been told for ages that I should do a podcast just by myself, because I am, as you can tell, I am one rambly boy. I can talk for... I don't have a metaphor for this, but I talk a lot, which is something that I need to stop doing. So maybe this podcast is enabling that. But anyway, let's not overthink things as I'm talking about overthinking things. Yeah, so basically I just thought, hey, I kind of want to start this journey of meditation and being more mindful and seeing how it goes, and if that is a betterment to my life, which I know it will be. And I thought, how about having a podcast about that journey? So it's not like a weekly kind of log of what's going on, but it's more of a thing of just seeing how your mindset can change over time, and how certain things that happen how like the analyzation of whatever, can just... What am I saying? See, this is the thing. I feel like this is what our brains do, and I'm just articulating that. I feel like everyone can relate to just going down a thought path that just, there is meaning to it, and you probably have already... I've probably already fully explained what I need to explain. You probably already get that, like, okay, so you're starting a podcast that's somewhat about mindfulness, and you're discussing different things about life, and like rambling about it and seeing if it connects with people. That's probably already been established, but I'm still in my head thinking like, I gotta explain it to people, but I probably already have. And you see, that is a microcosm of the things I have to deal with in my own head. my God, sleeping is... I briefly, kind of talked about this earlier. Oh, fuck, that's so good. Did I already say the thing about how there was some owner of a coffee brand that explained that a good cup of coffee is like a warm hug? Oh, my God. That's kind of cool. I mean, I don't feel like someone's... As I sip this, I don't feel like someone's sneaking up behind me and giving me a hug, because if they did, I would shit myself. But I get what he's trying to say. It feels like it's like a reassurance with every sip. It's like a warm, nice, drink that goes, feel it go down, and you feel the warmth kind of spread out, especially when it's like cold. Oh. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. This is the thing of like what I've really kind of realized with the mindset nowadays, and like something I didn't even realize was being instilled upon me, and people probably don't realize it either, which is why it's so prevalent. Because if you don't know your mind is operating in a certain way, but it keeps doing it, then there you go. You can't even think about the effects it's having on you, because you're not conscious of it being there. You know what I mean? So this is the thing I'm on about. Like, I've realized we focus so much on the negative in, like, all aspects of life, really. Like, always. We are constantly drawn to the negative side of things. And for some people more than others. And, there are people that look, like, somehow, luckily, without any kind of meditation and awareness, are able to let go of a lot of things and not think negatively, which, by the way, hats off to you. I mean, that's impressive. And you didn't even know you were doing it. So, it's impressive to me, but for you, it's second nature. People do be different, don't they? But yeah, so essentially, let me think of an example for this. So, okay, so imagine a nice, brisk Sunday drive, like a nice drive through some country lanes. The sun's out. You got the radio going, and it's a good song. You got one hand on the wheel. You got one arm out of the window. You're feeling the breeze. It's a simple road. You're going fast enough that it feels good, but not so fast that you could crash easily. Hence the one hand on the steering wheel. And you're in your element, and it's a nice drive. Maybe you're driving to something that is really good. Maybe you're meeting up with some friends. Maybe you're having a nice Sunday lunch. Which, by the way, the Sunday roasts, Britain, well done. The fucking get the meat with the gravy and the Yorkshire puddings and the stuffing and the veg and the roast potatoes that are kind of they're crispy on the outside, and they got the goose fat on them. Maybe if you spent the time. Oh shit! I complain a lot about living in Britain, but my god, the Sunday roast does make up for a lot of the bullshit. Which I haven't had in so long because I work on Sundays. So, see, now I'm focused on the negative. This is what I'm saying. So you'll be going for this nice drive, and everything's great. You're like, I'm in the zone. I'm having a good time, just vibing, feeling good. And then suddenly someone cuts you off. You have to slam on your brakes. Your arm slaps against the side of the window frame because you had it out and you were so relaxed. And, the guy doesn't even... I mean, maybe even if the guy does apologize, hand out the window or the thingy. Either way, it's irrelevant if they apologize or don't. And then, for the rest of the day, even if you're not really consciously thinking of it, it just ruins your day. I've had days where it's gone super well. I'm chatting with people who I like, having good conversations, smiling, laughing. I'm moving, I'm burning calories, I'm eating good. Everything's great. And then someone comes along and they just say a certain thing, or the way they act around you, they kind of act with such vitriol for no reason towards you, and you spend the rest of the day why we always go inwards, someone else has the problem, and then we're always what did I do, what could I have done to do it better? We just put so much pressure on ourselves to have everyone need to like us, or at least think that we've done nothing wrong towards them. And part of that is being a good person. There's no denying that. Part of it is the fact that your drive in life is to cause no harm to people, to be happy and have others be happy around you. That does make you a good person. But at a certain point, it can almost become damaging, in the same way that I'm drinking this cup of coffee right now and it's really nice, but if I drank 17 of these every single day, it might start to kill me. I don't actually know what would happen if you drank 17 cups of coffee a day. What would happen? It's like a laxative, apparently. It aids in the... I don't know if it aids in the process of the thing that we all have to do on the seat with the hole in it. But... it's like a laxative, which maybe I don't drink enough coffee to know that that's a thing, but friends are like, oh yeah, that happens, and I'm like, I don't know, I drink coffee and it's a normal day. I don't know. But either way, I don't know what happens if you drink 17 cups of coffee a day. Surely it would kill you eventually, right? Because caffeine is a stimulant. I heard something about how, I'm not the most researched person in the world, but I know some things vaguely. I heard something about how it spikes your adrenaline as well, and that's kind of where the energy can come from for certain people. So surely, yeah, if you're constantly spiking your adrenaline and constantly putting a stimulant in there, and your body's like, rush, 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 rush. Surely, at a certain point, it can only do so much. Like, your heart beats too fast, it'll just explode, I guess. Again, I'm not a research person, so I don't know. But maybe I should, hey, maybe I'll start drinking 17 cups of coffee a day for a month, and then I'll report back to what happens. And if I don't report back, then it did kill me, and I was right, I guess. Maybe they'll let me record podcasts in the hospital. Yeah, so anyway. That's another thing. That's where the manicness of the show comes in, as I say. It's manic mindfulness because my brain will just, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, just all over the place, different thoughts all the time, which can be fun sometimes, can be interesting, but also sometimes it means that I can't say the thing that I was just saying. But yes, so we focus on the negative, and I feel like in any situation where you could just let things go, the normal kind of way that our brains work, and I don't know what happened to make them conditioned this way, we'll focus on the bad things and won't even think about the good. I'll give you an example of just how rethinking different scenarios and situations and realizing stuff that is there and putting more importance on the you're not creating a scenario where better things have happened to me today that I can focus on. No, the things were already there. You're going off of what is there. You're just distributing your mental energy to focus on those good things and let those sit with you at the end of the day, rather than some guy cut you off in traffic, your boss was an asshole at work, or things like that. And it doesn't seem like it's that hard to do. Like if I just say, hey, your days could potentially be better if you just spent the time to when good things happen, to let those sit with you more and focus more on those things. It sounds easy, doesn't it? But it's not. I'm by no means am I doing that still fully. I'm trying. Some days are better than others in terms of going for that, but also, and it's mostly days when you have to work. That's always it, because when you're at work, it's a place you don't want to be. So you're already kind of setting your mind up in a way that it wants to be somewhere else. And isn't that kind of interesting? Here comes another tangent. Isn't that kind of interesting about workplaces and stuff like that? So I find that when you work at a place for long enough, suddenly that specific job in that specific building, it becomes like this crazy kind of almost alive thing. You know what I'm saying? So I've kind of worked in the same place for quite a while now, and on bad days when I'm not doing the things that I'm saying that I should be doing, of changing my mindset to look at the good, I will go to work, and even just the physical building itself, even if I haven't started working yet, the building just feels like it has an energy to it. It feels like I go in and that place is something, it feels like it's almost like sapping my life force out of me. It feels like, in Harry Potter, that effect of the Dementors and the face is smeared and getting sucked away. That's happening, I guess. But in my head, it's a building. It's it's an establishment. It's a company. It's not a thing. It's not that. It's harmless. It's nothing. That what I mean. It's just a physical place. But yet, through our experiences with certain physical places, especially when it comes to work, through going there, day in, day out, and doing the same kind of things and having different things happen to you in your mind, again, focusing on the negative, it becomes something. In your head, it becomes so much more. And isn't that strange how that can happen for pretty much anywhere? Where if you don't, I suppose this doesn't happen for people who love their jobs. Obviously someone who loves their job, that building probably becomes, a sign of, they see the front of the building as they're coming to work, and it lifts their spirit. And then, like I say, it's just interesting how physical places, and this, can go for a lot of different things, how they can become something else from what they physically are in the physical universe. But then mentally, like I say, it becomes something completely different. It's very interesting. This is the thing. I want to try and understand how our minds work. I want to kind of take the time to sit with myself and sit with my thoughts and kind of calm myself and, really look at things in a different way. But I'm also, I've lived, a certain amount of years. You don't know how old I am. I could be hundreds of years old. You don't know. Maybe I'm 5. And doing Fortnite dances, I guess, because that's what 5-year-olds do now. Oh, God. I was saying this to some friends the other day, but it's going to be terrifying when we're eventually, time is going to catch up with itself, and eventually we're going to have the first prime minister who, did Fortnite dances as a child. And I don't think that's someone you'd want, in charge of a nation. I'd make those judgments, but my friends have also pointed out that, when you're a child, you do cringy things and things that are just ugh. Things that are probably as bad as doing a Fortnite dance. We just didn't have Fortnite back in the day, so we weren't exposed to it. Thank God. We were the last gasp of the generation that still went outside. Try and go up to a kid, not a random kid, don't talk to strangers, but, if you're at a family barbecue and there's a nephew there or something, go up to them and try and explain to them that, hey, back in the day, we used to go outside and meet up with our friends and, play with, we'd find, some sticks, and that would be our entire day. You'd throw the sticks, you'd sword fight with the sticks, you'd snap the sticks and then have 2 smaller sticks, and then you'd play the drums on something, and you'd be outside and it'd be great. Maybe a dog would go by and the owner would be like, "Hey, you can fuss my dog," and you'd be like, "Yeah," and you'd fuss the dog and you'd feel better about yourself, and you'd have a great day. And you try and tell them, you say, "Hey, that was what having a good day was back in the day. That was what kids used to do. We used our imagination and went outside and experienced the world and blah, 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 blah." All those boomer things that, kids are like, "What are you talking about? Why would I do that when I could just have Fortnite show at me? I don't want to run around with a stick and hit things because in the real world I can't get my mats." I can't get the wood and the stone and the other one. Metal? I don't know. I haven't played a lot of Fortnite, thank God. Well, no, I haven't. I haven't. I played a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I did. Lockdown was hard on us all, okay? Some people went into lockdown and they went back into their bad habits of alcoholics probably drank more. You had maybe people had got off of heroin and they relapsed and out of these things. What happened to me? I played a bit of Fortnite, okay? I'm not a monster, I swear. Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. So anyway, I was making a point about something, or was I? I'm not making a point about anything really, am I? But yeah. So I guess with the little bit of time left that I have, I guess I'll explain one last reason why I'm kind of doing this podcast. And I guess one of the main reasons is that my sleep. Oh my God. Oh, a dog's going crazy. Can you hear that? I don't know if you could hear that, but there's a dog next door to me that seems to always be in the back garden. I don't know why. It was raining yesterday, and he was in the garden. I don't know if his owners are horrible, but why is the dog left alone out in the rain? That's just a sad. It's how back in the day there were people that had those paintings of the sad boy. For some reason, it was in a ton of houses for no reason. Everyone just had the same sad boy painting. It was just some cultural virus that somehow spread. And you'd even ask people "Oh, why do you have this in your house?" And they'd be like, "I don't know, it's here." And you're like, you can get rid of it. And they're like, "Ah," and I don't understand it. I don't know why it was a thing, but it was for some reason. But that's the modern day equivalent of that is just a dog in the rain. If you just saw a dog, just their fur sags, it makes it look like they're frowning. Don't leave your dogs in the rain, folks. That's just a sad sight. That is something that I would say is acceptable to let it ruin your day, because you can't look at a sad dog alone in the rain, like chained to a lamppost. You can't look at that and try and get a positive thing out of it. You can't be like, well, the dog's getting a shower, but no. That's the one example where I won't change my mindset. That's the one example where I will let that keep dragging me down all day. Yeah. So anyway, that dog next door goes crazy, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Most dogs will bark. Normally I have my own dog that's just chilling in the corner. She hears a noise. That's why recording this podcast is almost like recording with a ticking time bomb in the background. Like, all it takes to ruin it is there to be a knock at the door, and my dog will just be like, she's a tiny little thing, bless her. She could not intimidate anyone. She's so cute. Her bark is so powerful that it forces her backwards. Like, she'll bark and then she'll like slide backwards on like the wooden floor that I have, because she can't even control the power of her bark, because she's so small that it just sends her. It's fucking adorable. Dogs are the best. Like, hey, you could either take the time to sit with yourself, and be mindful and analyze your thoughts and meditate and better yourself, or you could just buy a dog. It's in the long run, meditation is free, but it's hard. And who wants to do something that's hard? Nobody. No one wants to do anything that's hard. I mean, well, innuendo. But, you could just buy a dog, and you could just fuss a dog, and it just makes you feel better. The dog's happy, you're happy, you've only lost, I don't know how much dogs cost nowadays, but I've heard it's ridiculous. But hey, it's an investment for your future. So buy a dog, don't meditate. No, meditate. Buy a dog and meditate. Meditate with the dog. Ooh, that is a happy state of affairs. Imagine, like, you ever listen to these meditation kind of guides? They're really good. And it's definitely what you need when you're starting out. Like, you can't meditate by yourself. You might think you can, but no, you need someone to, otherwise you're just going to get bored and be like, am I doing it right? Why? You need like a recording, or even better, I need to look into actually going to one of these Zen meditation centers. I know they're a thing. It's like a yoga class where you go and, you like sit and they guide you through your feelings, and there's like specific poses to sit in. There's so much more research I have to do. This is why this is episode 1. Because I've barely even begun doing this. I guess the number one step I've taken is that I'm doing yoga again, which is kind of like a meditation. There's a lot of breath control and clearing of minds and focusing on, the stretches and the positions. So it's like a gateway drug to meditation. So I'm getting there, I promise. But yes, the thing that I was saying like 10 minutes ago. So, I suck at sleeping. I am terrible at sleeping. I'm awful at it. I think most people are nowadays. And I didn't realize how bad I was at sleeping until I got a smartwatch, which is one of my favorite things ever. Whoever made the smartwatch. I'm not a big fan of a lot of different technologies that are like, the technology's taking over. Yeah, I'm one of those every now and then. I know, it's dumb, but I don't want, there's like shops you can go into where there's not even people that work there, and just cameras track you, and the scales are like, all the items are on scales and they're weighted, so when you take it, a camera just tracks you, and you take the thing and then it just charges you online when you leave. It's weird, I don't like it. Yeah. But anyway, the smartwatch is great. It's great for running, it's great for tracking your steps, it like forces you, you look down at your watch and go, shit, I only got 3,000 steps today, and you maybe were just gonna chill out for the night, but then you're like, I could just go for like a 20-minute, half an hour run, and I could get all the rest of my steps, and I'll feel better, and I'll get back, have a shower, and relaxation's always better after effort. I feel like relaxation is something that has to be earned. Maybe that's my sadistic brain. Maybe I should just relax. But I always find that I can have a much more relaxing evening if I've worked hard and got things done in the day, which is probably a better way to be thinking, really, because that means more productivity. More productivity means you're actually living and doing things. Like, I don't have to be having a podcast that no one listens to, but I do want to do that. There's a part of me that wants to do this for some weird reason that I can't explain. So I'm doing it. And, I've got work later today. I've got so many things to be doing after this. But I'm taking the time to do this. And it feels good. Like, later on I'll be like, fuck, I finally recorded that thing that I've been meaning to do. And, yeah. Be productive, guys. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to be productive, because then you'll overthink everything and be like, I haven't done the thing I wanted to do, so then you don't end up doing anything. Do little things every now and then, it'll all add up. That's just a metaphor for life. That's just something that you should just do all the time. Just always be thinking, do a little bit all the time, and eventually it will add up to a whole. Like stretch a little bit every day. Like, it seems so intimidating to people to stretch and exercise in any form, but if you told people, like, hey, go for like a run, maybe like 3 times a week, lift some weights every now and then, stretch for like 15 minutes a day, 15-20 minutes a day. Trust me, you've got the time. You really do. And when you're older, it's the metaphor of the day. How often have you said that you wanted to do something in a day, and then you didn't do it because at the time you were like, I'll just lie in, and at the time you're like, yeah, I'll feel better for being lazy. I'm lazy, it's good. Like, sometimes you need that, it's like when you eat like a bit of chocolate, or you eat like some sweets or a treat, and you're like, oh, I'm being naughty. You get like a bit of satisfaction from being a naughty person. You're like, oh, I'm cheeky. Oh, and yeah, in the moment that feels good, but so does heroin in the moment, and afterwards, that was a bad metaphor. What I'm saying is, think of life of how, like, because we've had those days where, yeah, you don't do it, you don't do the thing you wanted to do, and at the time you think it's fine, and then at the end of the day, you can't get to sleep because you're like, fuck, I should have done that thing. It would have been so easy. It would have been like 20 minutes out of my day. Like, people, like, when you, like, get it down to that little bit, like, if you tell people to stretch for like 15-20 minutes a day, because when they're older, that means that they'll be like so much more mobile for longer, they'll feel better, their body won't be all locked up and like breaking down as quickly. You tell them that and they're like, oh, I know I should, but I can't find the time. And then you're like, what about 15-20 minutes a day? And they're like, oh, I guess I could find that. And you're like, yeah, like, you don't have to. If you try and stretch for like 40 minutes to an hour every single day, you'll get bored after about a week and a half, and then you won't be stretching anymore. It's way better to just stretch a little bit very often, because then it adds up, it builds up. Your body eventually, your flexibility will really slowly increase. It'll be very slow, but eventually you'll get to a point of really good flexibility, and then you're like, oh, so if I just keep doing, even once I've reached this really high flexibility, if I just keep doing these like little bits, it'll mean, yeah, it'll keep me good, keep me healthy. And at the end of the day, who doesn't want to be healthy? And even if you don't think you do, you do. Like, yeah, have a donut every now and then. Have a dessert. I had a dessert last night. It was beautiful. It was so good. But that means today that I've done my stretching. After this, I'm going for a run. I'm gonna do some like skipping. I got a skipping rope, which is great because you can do like 15 minutes on the rope and burn like nearly 200 calories. It's very easy, and it's good for you. And I'm just gonna work it up. I'm eating less today as well. I got work for quite a while, so work's great because it means I don't have the time to sit at home and think about food. So I'll eat like a meal before I go, and then I'll take like some fruit with me to work or something. I don't know, and I'll eat some fruit, and that'll be it for the day. And then it'll balance out from the extra calories I had yesterday. I burned some today and had less calories today, so it'll work out. It's easy. See what I mean? It's so easy. We think like taking care of ourselves and all these things are so difficult, but it's not. It can be so easy. You've just got to take like a little bit of time to sit down and be like, okay, let me think this through. Let me think what I need to do today. And then like once you've done that, the next day you sit down and you're like, what do I need to do today? And you keep doing that, like I say, little bits every day. All adds up. But anyway, I struggle sleeping. I'm eventually going to make my point, I promise. And I got this smartwatch, and that really made me realize, ooh, my sleep is terrible. Once I actually started realizing, the different stages of sleep and listening to podcasts from sleep experts about like how important rapid eye movement sleep is, and deep sleep, how important deep sleep is, and like how it works for restoring your body's functions every day, and how it works to set you up for the next day, give you the appropriate amount of energy, and like make just restoration. That's what sleep is. It's like getting a health pack in a video game, except it's really hard to do nowadays because there's screens everywhere. We're thinking about everything all the time. We know everything that's going on everywhere. Like every 5 seconds, you'll be like, "What's on the news? Oh, more children have been stabbed. Great!" And and it just everything. Like we're overstimulated. We're over. Just there's too much information is being thrown at us all day, every day. We're told we have to think about so many things just to operate and function nowadays, and like be a functioning member of society. You got to know what's going on. You got to be on time for this. You got to make sure that you're checking the prices of this because they may go up. So get the thing early and blah 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 blah. There's too much, right? There's too much, and so you go to sleep, and you don't think all those things that you were thinking about are not just still there, just festering. If you're supposed to be thinking about it all the time, then there's a part of you that's like, remember this, you know what I mean? And that stays with you at night. The brain needs to be able to relax, and the way the brain relaxes is by clearing itself of all those thoughts. You can't go to sleep if you're on an exercise bike doing dumbbell curls and balancing books on your head. And that's what the brain is doing with its thoughts. It's on an exercise bike doing dumbbell curls, balancing books on its head. That's all the thought. It's trying to balance and keep and like this thing, and it's you can't sleep like that. Your eyes may shut, and you may suddenly wake up, and it's hours later. But your brain, that whole time, was still, even if it stopped pedaling on the exercise bike, it was still doing dumbbell curls. It was still balancing the books. And we need to find a way to better our sleep. We need to find a way to get our brain off the bike, put the dumbbells down, and maybe even, not just take the books off our head, but open the book. That's like that thing of the classic thing of, count the sheep jumping over a thing. Is that what it is? What is it again? It's like count the sheep jumping over the fence or something. Like, you get your brain to focus on something so simple, just one little thing to clear everything else out, and that'll put you in a better place for sleep. And that's what a lot of meditation is, focusing on how your body feels. And like, there's a lot of stuff that I think is great in meditation is like, it's like be present with your body and like feel. The way you do it is like you ground it by like feeling. Like if you're sat down, it's like feel the earth against your ass or your feet, or like you're lying down, it's like feel the bed against your back. And you like, if you really start to think about these things, you can properly feel like, you're like, shit, it's soft, it's nice, it's supporting me, and then before you know it, all those other thoughts have suddenly gone, and you're like, oh, I was just thinking about one simple thing, and suddenly I'm way more relaxed and I'm calm, and now I'm in a better position to sleep. And this is the thing that I'm trying to balance out of, like, with the sleep. I have issues with, I got no problem, with the dark. My brain's overthinky. So, like, I'll get in the dark and, there's little bits of, like, hey, remember this horror movie you saw before? But I'm not sadistic, I know it's a movie. Like, it's fine. It's like a little thing of, like, my brain likes to try and spook me. Like, it tries to, like, be like, ooh, the darkness, ooh. But I basically, I'm able to really quickly slap it and be like, shut up, we're not. Come on, mate. We've all had a couple. We've all had a few. We've had a good time, but come on, calm down, mate. Time to go home. Oosh. That's how people talk down pubs, I guess. Yeah, but like that's something I'm trying to balance. So the dark room, not a problem. But then I'm just overthinking everything, and then I focus on those thoughts. And then the trouble is that I try to let them go, but that's the thing that's difficult, is that, and that's what I'm trying to learn through these meditations, is how to let it go and like just ignore it. I think they give the analogy of imagining you're like sat by a stream, and the water flowing through is all the different thoughts you have, and so you can look at the stream from the side and you can acknowledge the different the different parts of the stream, the different I guess not waves. There's not really waves in a stream, but you can see the different elements of the water, the different thoughts that you're having. And the idea is that they try and teach you, to visualize it like that and imagine just letting the thoughts go by. And then it's like, imagine turning your back on the river, and all these other things. It's like I say, focusing on something so simple. Like, you think it's stupid, don't you? You think like, imagine myself by what? And you don't think it's going to do anything, but it does. And, you're able, in visualizing that way of how your mind is working, you're kind of forcing it to work like that. It's like I said, that's what meditations and mindfulness is so interesting. You kind of become the master of your own mind. And like I say, I'm nowhere near it. I'm only able to trick it every now and then. But, yeah, it's really interesting thing to be doing. And I think this sleep thing, because I know so many people, like I say, with everyone's looking at phone screens right before they go to bed, that is ruining their eyes and is making their brain be overactive right before bed, and everyone's thinking about everything. Like, if there's one thing that I can guarantee with like complete strangers who I meet, if I'm introduced to people, obviously this isn't the first thing I bring up. It's not like my party trick is to ask, how do you sleep? Hey, what's your sleep like? Oh, but if I were to, ask them about sleep, I can guarantee you that 9 times out of 10, people will be like, yeah, I have struggle sleeping. I wake up and I'm still tired, and I blah, 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 blah. I feel like it's a thing that we're all kind of going through. It's like a sleep epidemic, if you will. And yeah, like, I think this is one of the reasons that's mainly getting me to start this meditation, because I started doing, and I'm not consistent with it still, but I started doing these sleep guided meditations. So like the main time I meditate now is like not before bed, it's as I'm in bed going to sleep. It helps me to go off, and it's really difficult to like focus on these things and ignore these thoughts and like meditate in a way that is softening and relaxing, not like straining yourself in like putting too much pressure on yourself to like, be following the guide and blah blah blah. Like, it's still tricky, but it's one of these things where I'm realizing the power of that for sleep, which is so vital to life. And then I'm like, oh shit, so if that's really vital to that, what else can meditation do? What other things can you overcome that are problems? What other way can you reframe and restructure your mind to make your life better and to become a better person? And isn't that really something we should all be striving for? Like, I mean, we're constantly, we're constantly told about the importance of getting a good education and getting a job that pays a lot and getting money and, blah 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 blah. But, and yeah, that's important. You need to be able to live. Obviously, you need a job that doesn't make you want to kill yourself, and you need money to pay for your housing. You got to be in a house. You don't want to be not in house. Like, you just want to, you need those things, but then it goes too far. How many people is all they care about is money, 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 and then they're at the end of their life with all this money, and they've got no family, no friends, because they spent too much time focusing on that, and then at the end of the life, you think they're happy? No way. I guarantee you. Why do you think like rich people are some of the most controversial people on the planet, and they do all these weird, illegal and terrible and strange things? Because that's all they can do. Once you get so much money, other connections with people are lost, and you forget that part of yourself, that human connection, which is the thing that is really the most important thing. You lose touch with yourself, with others, and all you can do is, think, well, I've got this money and I can't feel anything. So how do I feel something? Oh, let's do these drugs. Oh, let's do these illegal things. If you're Drake, let's date people who are barely legal. Like, it's a common thread. There is definitely commonality between getting a lot of money and becoming a absolute mental case. So what I say is that the more important thing is to become happy, and the way to become happy, truly happy, is to be happy in yourself, is to look at yourself and exercise and stretch so your body feels good, and meditate and get better sleep so your mind feels good. Eat better as well, that's another part. Eat better, like treat yourself every now and then. Of course, everyone loves a good meal, like if you're out with friends, this is how I try to look at it. I will treat myself to, I will drink. If I'm going out with friends and we're having some drinks, I will eat like a dessert, or like some kind of fast food place if I'm going out with friends and that's what I want to do, or family. That's when I'll treat myself, is in those moments where it's like, because it'll be enjoyable with other people. But when you're at home and it's just like, okay, today all I have to do is eat from home and go to work, come back, eat from home, and just sit around and do the things, then that's when you take the time to focus on it. That's when you eat the fruit and the veg and the good sources of protein and that's when you focus on the exercise and the meditation, all these things. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we often think that all we have to do with our free time when we're just by ourselves is watch Netflix, is watch a show. And I'm not saying don't do that, because there's some great TV shows out there. I'm watching Better Call Saul right now. It's great. But I'm like watching it like barely an episode a week, because I'm spending so much time focusing on these other things. And like, everyone's going to have different things that will work with them. Everyone's going to have different levels of what they need to do for themselves. And I'm not saying do what I do. I'd never say that, because it's what works for me. But what I am saying is, if you're feeling similar things to how I'm feeling and the things I'm trying to get over, of these overthinking mind, and the kind of like every day seems to be that there's problems and you can't sleep very well and all these things, then maybe start your own journey and find your own path to bettering yourself in terms of having a better relationship with your mind and your body and all these other things. Or don't do any of it. If you're perfectly content with eating like foods that are really bad for you, and going out with friends and kind of having the drama and the and all these other things, and taking no time for yourself and just sitting on a sofa eating snacks and watching things, then my god, more power to you. I'd like, great. If that's what you really like, and it's not damaging you, like, and you can sleep well on top of all that, you kind of living the dream. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I could just do that. That'd be great. But so yeah, don't think you have to listen to my hippy dippy thoughts. But if you are feeling similar things to me, then I would maybe recommend doing that, because, like I say, I'm only just starting out on this journey of mindfulness and meditation and trying to be better, and already I'm just seeing incredible benefits. I'm calmer on a lot of days. I'm less worried about other people's opinions, and I am slowly getting a better relationship with sleep. Tracking my sleep, I can see my deep and REM sleep on average most nights is getting higher and higher. I'm waking up with more energy. I'm having a better relationship with food, and like all these different things that are really beneficial. And I'm going to continue to strive for that and go for different things. And this podcast is going to be kind of a weekly thing that I can come back to and talk with you beautiful bloody human beings who are listening along. And if you've got to this point, my god, you have persistence. If you've waited this long for me to finally get to a point, then you, sir, or madam, or whatever else you want to refer to yourself, I have no problem with whatever it is. Tell me what it is, and I'll be like, hey, whatever you want to be called. We're all people. Let's stop worrying about the culture war and the blah 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 blah, and let's just be good to each other. If you made it this far, then you have mental persistence, and you're probably the perfect person to be meditating, because you have patience and you're able to sit through a lot of difficult ramblings, and eventually you could get to the clarity and the point. So well done, you. More power to you. So anyway, that was the first episode. I'm going to be loading these weekly, I suppose. I don't even know when this episode's going to come out, because life is so busy. But it will come out when it comes out, and then I'll try to stick to a weekly thing of that. And I'll be doing different things each week. I'll be rambling a lot. Don't get me wrong. This do be manic mindfulness. It's going to be manic. And if you like rambles, like, I suppose this would be a great thing to listen to if you're just going about your day. If you just need something that you can kind of tune in and out of mentally, like you're at work behind a desk and you kind of need to focus, but also not, just stick this on, I guess it'd be great. You could just come back in and say, what did you just say? Oh, yeah, that's an interesting thought. Okay, nah, talking about coffee again, not going to listen. Do what you want to do. It's going to be every week, and I'll go through different things. There's a lot of different experiences with meditation and mindfulness that I want to have and then, like, talk about. Like, I want to do a flotation tank. I want to go to, like, a hot yoga class. I'm, like, an hour and a half in, like, a boiling room doing yoga. Apparently great for you. Apparently really difficult, but great for you. But isn't everything that's good for you difficult, eh? Isn't that just the way life is? And let's stop being mad about it. Let's just get on with it. This coffee's cold. I have not been drinking enough of it, but I do like cold coffee, so it's still fine. See the positive. So I will leave you with this. Do a little bit every single day, and and things will get better. If you're already happy, fantastic. More power to you. I hope you have a wonderful day whenever you're listening to this. If there's only a little bit of your day left, I hope you have great sleep. I really do. Yeah. So just have a good old time, be a good person, and I wish you the best. And I will see you whenever you, for some reason, decide to click on another one of these podcasts. I don't know why you would, but thank you very much. Yeah. Maybe I should tell you my name. Yeah, my name's Dan. If you want to say, I mean, most of you who listen to this already know me, but I don't know if anyone's ever going to listen to this who doesn't know me. But yeah, I realized this isn't how you do a podcast. It's supposed to be like a firm introduction, and like, especially the first episode, you want to gain, you want your audience to like be able to be like, oh, I know his name, I have a connection. Nope. You just want to talk about coffee, pretty much. And I mean, you can connect with more people about coffee than a name. Let's be honest. Don't use people's names on their name tags, but do ask them what their favorite cup of coffee is. And if they say decaf, never talk to them again. Decaf's fine, I guess, but I just don't know why you'd be drinking it. Let's stop. I said these were going to be about an hour, to myself, privately. Yeah, so have a good time, and I will see you when I see you. And meditate. It's good for you. Even if it's 5 minutes, just meditate, and you will see the benefits, I promise you. Bye? Yeah, I guess bye. That's kind of how you're supposed to end the thing, isn't it?